Welcome to the Millionaire Mindcast, where we broadcast weekly interviews with millionaire minds from across the globe to empower you on your journey of unlocking a rich and fulfilling life. It's time to unleash your millionaire within. Now, here's your host, Matty A.
What's going on, Millionaire Mindcast fam? Today, for all of you who are looking to build a business online, this is going to be an episode that you are going to gain massive value from. And let me just take a second to say, even if you are not someone who is looking to build an online business, if you are someone who has a product or a service that provides an outcome for somebody and you want to teach more people, whether that is internally within your organization and on your team, whether that is potential customers that you want to capture, whether that's a space you want to add value to, you're going to really enjoy my episode today with Greg Smith, who's the founder of Thinkific, which is a learning platform that allows you to host your courses and your content and your videos and your community and an ecosystem on their platform. And they have made it so simple for anybody who's an expert at anything to go out there and have a legitimate online business with their platform. And it's freaking dirt cheap too. So today we dive into how you can go about leveraging their platform and building a brand online that positions you as an authoritative, credible expert in your space, and how easy it is to go about doing that now. We talk about, obviously, how Thinkific was formed and how this small little company has blown up to over 100 employees and all the amazing things they're doing in the online education space and where they see online education going in the future, not only disrupting industries, but disrupting big education, right? And there's obviously this, I would say, topic of discussion that gets people pretty heated up when you start talking about formal education and how he thinks online education and through platforms like Thinkific, how people like you and I and everyday individuals and groups and organizations can go out there and really control the narrative and the value that they're adding to their customers and the people that they are looking to serve. We talk about how it may or may not be too saturated right now. Is it too late to get in? Is it too early? His thoughts on that. We talk about some of the challenges and the opportunities for online educators and really how you can make sure to position yourself to win and to capitalize. We talk about the difference between courses and, memberships. So whether you're going to just create a one-time course you want to sell or membership communities, how he has seen some of the best people on their platform create communities and movements, and why those companies are succeeding in the way that they are succeeding. We talk about things that are trends in this world that he's paying attention to and working on with his team to equip people on their platform with that edge and to kind of serve and stay ahead of the competition. And then also, we talk about some of the logistics and tactics of everything. As you create these courses and these memberships on their platform, and as you learn a little bit more when he goes about explaining all of these things in the episode, we also talk about, how once you create these things, it's great if you have a cool product, but if you can't get anybody to it or you don't know how to market or sell, right, then that doesn't do you any good. So we talk about really the importance of, marketing and some of the different ways you can go about marketing. We talk about the quality of content. We talk about the quantity of content. We talk about the ingredients for a quality course, all kinds of amazing things. And then we finish up the episode with some really cool stuff on how he's gone about creating a culture within not only his company, but also within his customer base and how that has continued to not only create repeat customers and give them retention, but also how those individuals have become their raving fans and helped grow their company as well. And for anybody that's in business, you're going to enjoy some of the things that he talks about in today's episode because it's applicable to any entrepreneurial individual. If you have a customer, if you have a service, if you have a product, if you're an expert, if you are looking to navigate and play in the online space at a higher level, you're really going to enjoy today's episode. So with that being said, be sure to hit me up at 844-447-1555. Tag myself at Official Matty A or Greg Smith online. If you enjoy this episode, share it out with somebody that can gain some value from it. And if you haven't checked out more information on our upcoming Wealth Camp events, it's our wealth building experiences and events for people looking to become a whole life millionaire. So not just to unlock more vertical income and wealth, but to also live like a millionaire and weaponize yourself in all areas of life. And if you want to come to one of our intimate experiences, you can text the word Wealth Camp, one word, Wealth Camp, to 844-447-1555 to get more information and see if it's something of interest to you and a fit. We got some exciting stuff going on in the coming weeks, so be sure to subscribe. If you haven't left a review, hit a review, and stay tuned. So thank you so much for listening today. Let's continue that march to $1 million and beyond right after this quick message. Are you ready to quit talking about your real estate investing goals this year and start taking the necessary actions to make them a reality? If you're truly serious about leveraging the vehicle of real estate to build wealth, to generate passive income, to unlock financial freedom, then working with a coach is the missing link. If you want to avoid the mistakes that most people make, you want to accelerate getting the results, you want to shorten your learning curve without having to figure it all out on your own, then sign up for a free discovery call with me today to discuss how I can help you getting there. You can do that by texting the word mentor to 844-447-1555 to set up a call time directly with me. I will be working with a few committed investors, serious investors who are ready to take their real estate investing goals to the next level this year by giving them complete access to myself, my team, my network, my resources, and all of my business systems. And if this is something that you are interested in, don't wait. Set up a call today. Text the word mentor to 844-447-1555. Well, I'm excited to welcome into the show Mr. Greg Smith. How you doing?
I'm great. Good to be here. Thank you.
You're up in good old Vancouver, BC, or?
I am. Yeah. Vancouver, Canada, BC. You got it.
Right on. And that is home, the hub of Thinkific.
Yes. Yeah. We got an office here. So most of the team is here in the one office.
And how big are you guys now?
A little over 110 people right now.
Wow. Did you?
And hiring for 50 positions. So, if you're looking,
wow.
Anyone out there.
So you're basically looking for 50% growth on your team here over this next year. What does that look like?
Yeah. Well, hopefully sooner than this next year. Over the next year, possibly doubling, but definitely over the next, say 4 or 5 months, looking for about 50 people.
And is it just because you guys are bursting at the seams and your business model is just continuing to gain more momentum and steam behind it?
Yeah, business model is great. We just picked up a whole bunch of new office space to kind of accommodate the growing team, and lots of projects in the works that lots of exciting things that we need more young, smart people to jump in and work on.
So we have obviously all entrepreneurs, business owners, aspiring entrepreneurs that listen to the show. And this idea of becoming your own brand and building an online business and creating courses or education or communities has really started to catch on like wildfire. You caught it very early. When did you see this kind of becoming a trend, and what led to the formation of Thinkific as we see it and know it today?
Yeah, well, I got into courses before I saw the trend. So I got in, it was like 2005, I think I started teaching my own course. So I was going to law school. I started tutoring people and teaching them in person in a classroom on the LSAT, which is the test that helps you get into law school. And then that turned into a blog, and then that turned into an initial online course. So me and my brother put together this little mini online course to get out there and share it with the people who are already visiting the blog and potential students and tutoring students. And that slowly took off and did really well in over time, but it was always kind of a side project. But where it started to really clue in that there was a trend and an opportunity here is as we got that going, I mean, one, the success we were having in doing it, but then the really cool thing was I also had a whole bunch of people reaching out to me saying, how can I do the same thing? So I want to create my own course in this topic or that topic. How can I do the same thing that you've done? And we really hadn't built the software. We built it for us, and it was a major pain to use because it was still mashing together WordPress and PayPal and everything else. And And I was lucky because my brother's a software developer. So I had that technical expertise to work with all that stuff. But when we saw all these other people coming to us, that's when we started to see this trend of people actually want to go and create their own course or membership, educate customers, potential customers, and they really want to do it on their brand, on their website, with control over the content and the business and the pricing and the look and feel. So that's when we set out to build Thinkific to make it easy for other people to do that. But it was really because of that inbound ask. So that trend was coming, literally knocking on our door and calling us up on the phone and saying, "Hey, how do you do this stuff?"
It's amazing, man. And obviously you guys are growing, hiring more customers. Where do you see this whole space going over the next 5, 10, 15 years moving into the future?
Yeah, I think we're definitely in a growth phase here. The big there's a lot of really interesting trends that are pulling this along or sort of creating the tidal wave here. I mean, on the course creator side, there is a whole bunch of, it's really sexy and cool to be an entrepreneur, build your own business, especially the idea of anything online or passive revenue or that kind of stuff. But the real pull actually, I think, comes from the learning side, in that we're creating courses and memberships, but our end, or all of our course creators are, but that end pull comes from the learner. And really what that coming from is the explosion of acceptance of online education as the first place to go to learn. Even 10 years ago, I think people were thinking community college, library, university, those kind of places or like night school or something like that as a place to learn something. Now more and more we see people go online first as their first point of contact for learning. And so across all sort of demographics, we're seeing that. And so I think that pull, as people are, and then you combine that with a lot more frequent career change. So people looking to either get promoted or level into a different career or a different career opportunity, personal improvement exploding in terms of like health and fitness, and then even the desire to have more crafts and hobbies in your life. All of these kind of things of people wanting to learn more and going online as that first place to learn. Even if you're an empty nester in your 60s and you've got some disposable income and you want to pick up knitting as a hobby, or skiing as a hobby, people are often going online as that first place. So that's like kind of pulling the whole industry up a pretty amazing growth curve.
It's amazing, man. And it still feels pretty early. And then at the same time, you hear a lot of people who have been in the space and in the industry saying, oh, it's getting too noisy. It's getting too saturated. A lot of people who shouldn't be creating courses and content and education are. What do you say to that narrative?
I think that there's definitely, we're going to see a lot more growth in this space. But where I think it has sometimes gotten saturated is the people who got in early and they're doing things like teaching people, they're teaching people the sort of internet marketing or multi-level marketing or how to get rich quick. That kind of stuff is getting fairly saturated, and there's a lot of people in that space. But I don't see saturation in the areas of how would I fly a drone, or how would I do encaustic painting, or how would I learn to be a better corporate finance professional. There's still a lot of opportunities for all of these other areas of conventional learning. I think it's just that in the area of online courses, when it first got started as an industry, there was a lot of people sort of, let me teach you to do what I'm doing so that you can teach other people to do what I'm doing by teaching you to do what I'm doing by teaching you, the sort of like super meta, I'm creating a course to teach you so you can learn how to create this course to teach other people how to create this course.
Right.
So that stuff, yes, there's a bit much, but in every other area of learning. So if you actually have a knowledge, a skill, a passion, something you're good at, and you're not just going out saying, let's just figure out how I can make money, but you actually have some knowledge, skill, or passion you want to share with people, there's a real opportunity there. So that's the areas I don't see it getting oversaturated, and there's tons of huge opportunity there. In fact, I mean, the spaces I've been in from a teaching perspective have been the most hyper competitive. Like test preparation around things like the LSAT is extremely competitive. Tons of people, huge companies doing it, and yet I've been able to do exceptionally well there. To me, having some competition is a really good indication that there's a great market to go after there.
I like that. And what I'm hearing too is just niche down. There's opportunities instead of being a generalist to get really hyper focused in certain skill sets or outcomes or kind of milestones that people who want to hit those things or achieve those things or emulate those things can get really, I guess, kind of tunnel vision on those specific things and get really specific, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The more you can go to sort of specific results for people and identify, here's the change you're going to see in your life, the transformation you're going to see by taking this course, the better you're going to do, both in terms of your marketing messaging and also the kind of content that you're creating and the value you can deliver.
So I know you guys offer a variety of solutions and options for entrepreneurs who are looking to create their own community or course. Give us a quick little synopsis or rundown of what some of those options are, just so the listeners who may be looking to monetize some piece of expertise or experience or opportunity can get a better feel for what your platform is if they're not familiar with it.
Sure. Yeah. So, we actually set something up so people can try it out for free and play around with it. So we just put that at thinkific.com/millionaire. And so if you want to play around and get a better idea of what we do, you can check it out there. But the gist of it is it's a platform that makes it really easy for you to take your skill, expertise, knowledge, create your own course or membership site if you want to do like a recurring situation, or courses or a whole bunch of courses. The flexibility is pretty endless in it, but it makes it easy for you to take your knowledge, upload it, and then go out and build a business around it. Or if you already have a business, even better, you can add online courses or an online membership as a component of that. And at the end of the day, it ends up on your site under your brand. So you're really building your own business that you have control over. And we've got lots of examples. So if people want to check us out, like I said, you can go to thinkific.com/millionaire, and that will it will show you some examples and stuff, so you can check out what other people are doing and playing around with it.
Yeah, we'll be sure to include any links, resources that are discussed in today's show. Check out the show notes at millionairemindcast.com. We'll have all that stuff in there for you guys.
Cool.
A lot of people who are toying around with this idea of, do I just create a course? Do I create a membership site or community? What's your take on maybe the right or the wrong path or just input around those two different channels in your platform?
Yeah, if people are just getting started, I usually see people start with one course. So you figure out what that change you want to see for people is. You build one single course around that. You start selling that or delivering that. It could be free, it could be paid. And then from there, people usually branch in one of two directions. They're either going to the area of having more courses. So they might have mini courses, big flagship courses, bundle different courses together, and start adding more programs, maybe into even new topics, or like, part 2 or level 2 or the advanced version. Or they start to go more the direction of the membership site, which it really means that you're doing things on more of a recurring basis, where you could be billing them on a recurring basis, where you charge a monthly fee and you're constantly adding and updating content and improving to it to have access to usually some kind of a community around it, and then the education itself. Both can be really effective channels, and I have seen people sort of go down one and then switch to the other. So they start with a bunch of different courses. They start with one course, they add more, and then eventually they have enough there that they say, I really want to turn this into a recurring membership model. So they switch over to that. But usually it's starting with one course and then moving down the path of many courses, or a membership model of a recurring content, recurring billing.
In regards to obviously having a community, a followership, a brand, what have been some of the best, I guess, who have been some of the best people at creating communities, and why do you think they've created such momentum? Obviously using your platform and leveraging those tools and resources to their advantage. But do you guys ever study some of the brands on your platform and why they are so successful?
We do, yeah, and really cool stuff. I actually did an interesting comparison between some of our top course creators that we're seeing out there and Netflix recently, and kind of looking at how Netflix is extremely successful. They have a recurring billing model. They spend about $2.9 billion. Well, they spent $2.9 billion last year on marketing, which sounds like a lot for marketing spend for any of us, but they spend 5 times that on content creation. And so they spent $2.9 billion on marketing. They spent $15 billion on content creation. And that is because they really recognize that although they can put some tweets out there and do some ads and do some marketing and get you to come in and watch Netflix, their actual better marketing channel is creating amazing content and having people tweet about it themselves or Instagram it themselves or share it themselves and say, wow, this is really cool. I can't wait for the new episode of The Witcher, or, whatever it is out there. And so they're really investing in the product itself and that value add to the consumer to get them to do a lot of the marketing for them. And even more so than that, the retention. So you can spend the marketing dollars, you bring someone in to take your course or watch Netflix. If the end product is crap at that point, you're going to lose them. Not only do you not get the testimonials and the referrals, but you lose them from recurring business with that person. And it is so much more expensive to go and acquire a new customer than it is to keep the ones you have and turn them into sort of recurring customers, repeat customers. So that's really, there's a whole bunch within that specifically that I see people doing, but that's kind of the crux of what I see the most successful course creators doing, is really focusing on that end product and the results for their clients to create recurring customers and referred customers and customer evangelists who will go out and bring more to you. And so the top course creators are really focusing on doing things, like you said, building an amazing community, doing a really good job of onboarding, focusing on having a program that you're going to engage with and you're going to get results out of to help scale it in a way that is kind of similar to what Netflix does.
That's amazing, man. What do you see some of the big brands or successful brands on your platform doing away with that some people might want to get in front of and maybe detach themselves from?
Getting away, yeah, it's interesting. I haven't looked as much at like what they're ditching. I would say, sort of in a adding / ditching. If you go back 10 years, a lot of the online courses sold were web page, PayPal button, takes you pay, you go to another page, and there's like a zip file of videos you can download and watch. So I see people moving very clearly away from all of that and towards much more careful, even personalized onboarding. So after that moment of purchase, they're putting a lot of care. It used to be even as recently as, well, a lot of people I think are still doing it, where you purchase and they're like, great, I got your money, thanks, let's dump you into the program, watch a video. Now I see the best people ditching that approach and going more with really careful, even personalized onboarding. So if we look at, say, John Lee Dumas at Entrepreneur on Fire, they have this amazing onboarding experience where if you sign up for their Podcaster's Paradise, you're going to get a custom video sent to you by John. He records it really quickly with this tool, sends it off to you. Then he'll actually follow up with a phone call. So calls each person individually. And as part of that phone call, because those phone calls can get away from you if you call up a new customer and they've got 50 questions and want to talk for an hour, he really politely welcomes you to the platform in an excited way and then says, hey, you've got some questions. We've got this great community. Hop in there, ask the question there, and then I can answer it for you and it'll benefit the whole community. So just jump in there. So that allows them to kind of make those calls in a scalable way. But this really personalized onboarding. The other really cool thing they do there at Podcaster's Paradise is when you get in, you're welcomed with the 3 pathways that you could take. So do you want to grow your podcast? Do you want to start it? Do you want to monetize it? So they can start to teach some of that kind of stuff. Another person I see doing an amazing job of this is Tiffany Ali Shea, who used to be the Budgetnista and has the Live Richer Academy. And she was actually, I think, a primary school or daycare teacher who had a lot of parents coming asking for financial advice. And she transitioned to saying, well, I can't help every one of you by giving you money, or started giving a lot of one-on-one advice, and then transitioned that to creating courses and education. And it now has hundreds of thousands of students that are, tens of thousands of students, I think, that are participating in learning financial education and financial literacy and improving their financial situation. But she has a really amazing community, and they're doing some really cool stuff there of when you join that community now, you're getting put into cohorts. So you get a small group because their community is so large now, tens of thousands of people. It's losing a bit of that personal feel, but now they're creating these little mini cohorts that you get to be a part of to kind of move through the education as part of that.
That's pretty cool, man. I love hearing what other people are doing, and the fact that you're talking about them, right? Just itself shows the power of, creating that community, creating that sense of connection to the brand, to the product, to the service, or the offering. Really cool stuff. What are some of the trends that you're paying attention to on your side of the fence in order to serve your customers, the content creators, the course builders, the community platforms, right? That you think is going to continue to weaponize them moving forward to do what they do best and obviously stay on your platform?
Yeah, I'd say two things. One is things have to be on our end from a software perspective. We want to make sure everything is extremely easy to use. And I think, by the way, these are lessons you can apply to any business you're doing, or if you're creating courses or something like that. But you want to create that amazing, easy to use first experience with your users. So sometimes we can get a bit carried away with the personalization or the customization or something like that, or too many options. You drop someone into a course and there's like 50 different places to start. So you want to reduce that overwhelm. It's the same in our software. We really want to reduce the overwhelm and make it so it's really easy. Step 1, step 2, step 3, really focused approach. In fact, when you look at Tiffany's programs, when you get in, she says, hey, here's your welcome plan. You're going to do these 5 steps in this order. I'm going to show you exactly how to do each one of these. And then you're welcomed into the community, and you've started learning, and you've kind of familiarized yourself with the whole, everything she's created for you. And we do the same thing on our software side, where we're welcoming you in step 1, step 2, step 3, make it really, really easy for you to start building your course. So that's something that I think is basically table stakes especially in software as a service, but in any business now. But then on the flip side is, once they've gone through those easy steps, once they've started to see some success and they're getting value, more and more people are looking to make it their own and customize it. So we've invested a lot in making it so that it can really be your look and feel. So for example, I've seen sites recently built with Thinkific where the site and the course and the learning experience and the checkout, everything is built with Thinkific, and I can't even recognize it. They've taken it so far in terms of customizing the look and the feel. So we want to make it super easy to start, but then as you scale and grow, you can totally make it your own. And I think it's a little bit similar in learning, in that if you're building any kind of business, you have that first experience very clear, very step by step. They can't fail. And then once they get in and they start going and they're looking for more advanced solutions, that's when you can offer kind of the custom stuff to them. But if you hit them with too much customization out of the gate, then you kind of overwhelm people.
Yeah. An overwhelmed mind usually says no or doesn't take action, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
In regards to, and I'm sure you've seen this more than anybody, I've seen a lot of people, create phenomenal courses, and they go into lighting and production and sound, and they go above and beyond, and they think they're going to make this, 7-figure funnel or course, and then it's crickets, right? Yeah. How much weight do you tell people to put on their content and the quality of the product?
Yep.
Versus how much of it is just being a great marketer and driving traffic to your conversion funnel?
Yeah. So let's break down quality of content into a few areas. There's audio video quality, and then there's the sort of quality of the education. And I would say the way I look at, and you can break it down even within that, but the way I look at it is, when you're getting started, first of all, the system I use is give yourself 30 days. Give yourself a deadline. It could be 30 days. My deadline for creating my first course was 30 days, and I was working a full-time job as a corporate lawyer, so I didn't have a lot of time. But I got something out in 30 days. It wasn't perfect from an audio visual perspective, or even from the perfect learning experience. It wasn't the full course I wanted to build, but I made a smaller course. The key here, though, is I made sure that the learning was quality enough that I was going to get people results. So my curriculum, what I was teaching them, was very focused on getting a very particular result, and I could deliver on that promise. Because you want to, in your marketing, be able to make a promise of, you join me here, I will get you this result here once you go through. And you want to be able to deliver on that. So you can't, I don't think you can go short on that quality of saying, join me and maybe you'll get a result. I don't know if my program's going to deliver on that. So that quality is kind of non-negotiable, but that's really just, do you know your stuff? Are you able to get people a result? The key within that, though, is strip out all the extraneous stuff, right? The extraneous stuff actually hurts people in learning. Teach them only what they need to know just to get to that result. You can always add more programs and extras and bonus materials after the fact, but keep that constrained to just what they need to know to get that result. On the AV side, I generally say, Audio, fairly non-negotiable. You want to have decent audio. People, like if you just look at YouTube videos and if you come across one with really terrible audio, you're probably not going to stick around long.
Right.
But on the camera side and the lighting side and stuff like that, people will put up with all sorts of stuff as long as you have decent audio. So get yourself a decent microphone. I mean, for $100, you can get an, there's the ATR, is it 2100 or something like that?
Yeah, the Audio Technica 2100 is a good one.
Yeah. So you can get something as simple as that for about $100, and then you've got really good audio. I usually just use the camera built into my computer. This one in front of me is a Logitech C920, I think, and that's about $100 or about $60, something like that. So you don't need to go crazy on that. And then I've got a couple of lights here, but honestly, just making sure you have some light on you and that it's decent. But I wouldn't obsess over that stuff. When I first started going, I obsessed. Like I wanted the perfect whiteboard video. I was doing whiteboard marker stuff. I wanted to eliminate all shadows, which is impossible, by the way. And so I spent forever on that when I should have just been getting a course out. The big message for me here, though, is get something out that you think can deliver value to people and get them the change that you're promising them, and then get it in front of people and take feedback from them. I mean, a really great way to do this is tell people you're going to be part of the initial members of my community, and I'm going to be giving you the first shot at this program. You'll get a little discount. You don't want to give it away for free because you want to validate that people are going to pay for it, but give them that chance to be sort of the founding members of the program. And then you can respond to their feedback as they go through it and continue to improve and build upon it. And they get access to the benefit after, because they're kind of building it with you. They'll actually value it more, and you'll end up with a much better product than if the worst thing you do is you go away in your closet or your studio or whatever and obsess over it for a year and then release it and say it's now perfect. It's not going to be perfect until you have the acid test of customer feedback. So get that customer feedback as fast as possible and get it in front of people as quickly as possible.
And before we kind of touch on the marketing side of getting more eyes, ears, and attention onto your product, your offering, you mentioned a little bit, and I know probably people have a question of, hey, can I actually do this? What goes into this? How long did it take? You talked about 30 days. What were some of the core pillars of your course? And obviously seeing in the platform things that they're going to need to have in there in order to deliver that quality product to a potential customer. What are some of the things that they should be planning for creating and curating?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And I don't think there's you don't even have to have video. A lot of people do video now, but I've seen people do effective courses that's just text-based. I do see a lot more people do video. So everything I'll share now is suggestions and recommendations, but feel free to throw any of it out in terms of what works for you. In terms of content creation, what I generally do is I start with one piece of paper or a whiteboard. At the top, I'll put the result that I want people to achieve. At that point, I might jump away and write a quick marketing copy. So I might actually just write up, here's what my landing page is going to sell people on in terms of, if you take this course, this is how it will change your life. And that has to tie back to the result that I'm promising at the top of my curriculum page. Then I come back to my curriculum page and I've got the result they want to see across the top of the page. Now I'll write a few milestones or steps leading up to that result down the bottom of the page with a big space in between each. And these are the key milestones they're going to hit along the way in the course, or the results they're going to see, or the achievements they're going to have. And then under each of those, I'm going to put a few topics they need to learn from me. What am I going to teach them to get to that milestone or get to that staged result towards the big end game? And then each of those, I'm trying to break it down, and you could even go to subtopics, but really for your first course, I wouldn't go much deeper than that on the tree, but I would try and break that down to something you can teach in about 5 to 7 minutes. So it should be one single concept you can teach in 5 to 7 minutes, and that can become your video. And then in terms of going on to create stuff, I won't start with the first or the last video. I'll jump in somewhere in the middle to one of those topics I'm most comfortable with. I'll shoot the video for that. And then for each of those, I'll often create one to 2 question multiple choice quiz, which is it's super easy to set up if you're using Thinkific, but you just set up a quick quiz that basically says, were you awake? It's not, are you smart? It's not, have you figured it all out? It's just, were you paying attention and awake during this video? And what that does is when you start to pull the course together, They watch the 2 to 7 minute video to get the concept. And then there's a quick checkpoint to say, hey, were you awake? Did you get the concept? If they get it right, they get the little endorphin rush and they continue taking is positive feedback, right? They continue taking the course. And now that's easy to jump back to different areas if they miss something, or if they fail the quiz, they can say to themselves, okay, I wasn't really paying attention, but it's only a 3-minute video. I'll watch it again. Whereas if you give them like a 60-minute video, it's a lot more intimidating and you lose a lot more people dropping off. So that's generally the way I start to build out the curriculum once you've got that all pulled together. And again, it doesn't have to be a video. Some of them could be something you write up for them that covers that 2 to 7 minute lesson they're learning. Now you've really got your base level program you can start getting out there. So that's the gist of what I say, to get started. That's how I would look at it. But really it's setting a deadline and then doing what works for you to get something out there in front of people.
Who are, I guess my question is do you need to keep it very narrow? Or do you see a lot of people that have just kind of cracked the code on creating courses and content, and they've got a variety of courses and options out there, and they're just driving traffic to all of those courses and creating, great passive income and scaling their skill to create content and courses and results for people?
Most people I see doing well are focused on a niche. Now that niche could be large, it could be corporate finance, but they are focused in an area of where that fits with their expertise, as opposed to, what's the next course that's going to make money. They tend to focus in an area where their expertise. Although I do see within that area, them bringing in guest lecturers or guest speakers and saying, okay, if I'm teaching a course on how to budget for your, next vacation, and then I need someone to teach basic accounting and I don't know that very well, I'll bring in, an accountant to maybe teach that thing. So I do see people starting to, once they've got one or two things working, they'll often bring in another expert as like a guest lecturer to teach a section of a course or even a whole course to add to that complement. But generally, I see people staying within one topical area that they have expertise. It also, I think, helps with the marketing. Once people get much bigger and they've got a whole marketing engine, they've got it sorted out, I do see people breaking into other topic areas. But I think for someone who's just getting started, figure one topic area out and get good at that and kind of solve all your problems within that before you start looking to add other topic areas.
Absolutely. Makes sense. So let's say for the person who goes, I got a course, I got an idea, I can provide a result for somebody, I'd love to use your guys' platform. They jump on the platform, they build it out. How important is it for them to, one, become a marketer and understand marketing, or do they need to in order to be successful?
Marketing, like any business, you need it to be reasonably successful to get things out. I think a lot of marketing now can be amplified by what I was talking about on the sort of Netflix side of things, of great content, great results, really taking care of the people who join your community, delivering amazing results. I mean, even if you get 10 or 20 people in to your first cohort and you deliver amazing results, they're going to go out and bring another 10 or 20 people or even 50 people to you because you did such an amazing job for them. So don't forget about that piece, but that still requires some seed of marketing to bring people in. And so, yeah, definitely the top creators I see are getting good at the marketing game. They're getting out there and either doing it themselves or in some cases hiring someone else to do it if they're not super comfortable with that. So I do see a lot more sort of consultants, contractors, experts out there who can help you on the marketing side. But I do always think a base level of understanding of marketing and getting that going. We've got a lot of sort of things we help people with in terms of how to do the marketing for courses. One thing I usually suggest is you can try a few channels, but usually you'll find one that you want to stick with, at least in the early days, that's going to deliver most of your results. So if you're big on Instagram, maybe that's your channel, but just because someone is big on Instagram doesn't mean you have to be and that you should have that and that is necessary for your marketing channel. I think it's about figuring it out. For me, for my course, it was always SEO, so search engine optimization, by creating a lot of blog content that search engines would pick up. That tends to be slower, but delivers great, cheap or free long-term results. Mm-hmm. And then YouTube, I put some videos on YouTube that taught some of my best stuff, and that all led back to my course and a free trial of my course. So for me, it was really just those two channels, and they still exist to this day for my LSAT course. So it's kind of figuring out what is the channel is going to work for you, where are you comfortable creating content. Usually for people getting started, it's not ads, but I think they can graduate into adding that as a piece.
I love it, man. You guys have created an amazing community and culture within your customers as well as within your organization. And for those that are building their own brand, their own company, their own community, what are some culture tips that you would leave with them to think about or to implement as they start to weave this into the DNA of what they're building?
Culture tips. So building a culture. Yeah, we definitely super proud of the culture we have here at Thinkific. It's an absolutely amazing team, and people are super stoked to be here. And it really helps on hiring and retaining people, and just having a place that I'm excited to come to work every day. I think there's a lot of specific tips, and I can share a couple of them. But really, at its core, we didn't set out to do it that way, and weren't even conscious about it until partway through. But what was in our DNA was really caring deeply about people and taking care of them. And I think when you really at your core care deeply about the people who are joining your team and you want to take care of them, and that is even more important than profit, it bleeds through in everything you do, and it will help automatically build that culture, and it'll force you to make the right decisions in doing things. So, I mean, for example, I've had people who couldn't work for, in some cases, more than a year, but we continued to pay their salary even if something like long-term disability or benefits didn't kick in, because at our core, we wanted to do right by and care for these people as if they were sort of part of our family. So really taking care of people in all the decisions that you're making. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't fire people or don't let people go. Like there's caring about people, and then there's doing them and the rest of the team a huge disservice by not giving them honest feedback and telling them when it's not working, and letting people go if it isn't working. So I think sometimes people confuse the concept of caring about people as if they're part of your family with what we really are, which is like a high performance sports team. And if you need to get traded to another team, then you need to get traded to another team. I know firing's probably, or letting people go is probably one of the most difficult decisions that entrepreneurs, founders really struggle with. And the way I've come to grips with dealing with that well is we're going to treat them exceptionally well and care about them through the whole process, but also recognize that keeping them on when it's not working and not telling them that, and not eventually letting them go if we can't figure that out, is really unkind to that person and to all the people around them. So there's a good quote, and I'm going to forget who delivered it, but Brene Brown, I think, is, to be unkind, or to be unclear is to be unkind. So if you're not being clear with the people when it's not working, you're being unkind. And if you're not letting them go when they're not working within the team, you're being unkind to them and to those around them. So that's probably one of the hardest things to do, but it really does go to creating a culture of caring and kindness and high growth, is being able to deal with when it's not working.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing too, is it's a standard. You guys have standards of excellence in your company, and you uphold those standards. One of my favorite quotes is, "I'm a loving human being, but my standards are not." And, as you guys have created this culture, right? Everybody knows what the bar is and how to be at the bar and excel beyond the bar. And if not, obviously there's accountability around that, which is evident. And like you said, leadership is to call people to the highest version and form of themselves. And by not doing that, by not holding their feet to the fire to those standards and those expectations, you're doing, like you said, an unkind gesture, a disservice to that individual. And I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people as entrepreneurs, being that they don't want to rock the boat, or the fear or the scarcity mentality of, if I lose this person, or the ripple effect that this could have, right? That runs wild. But you shared some really great insights on, how and when to fire somebody, because it's obviously necessary to continue to top grade that talent in your organization. What are you as a leader, being that you guys have built 100+ person company, you're looking to go to 150 to 200 and beyond. What are you as a leader holding yourself accountable to top grade yourself?
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, it's a constant reinvention. I think because you go from your captain of a rowboat and you're doing the rowing to, you're leading a small vessel, and now you're captain of a battleship, and now you're eventually working towards, you're the admiral of the entire fleet, commanding everything from a base on land, and, not even out at the ships.
I like that analogy. That's a good one.
but each time you do that, it's a totally new role and it's a totally new reinvention. So for me, the big thing is recognizing where I'm at in that growth journey, and constantly trying to reinvent and figure out what I can do to level up and never stop growing. Because as the company's growing, if I don't keep up, then I'm obsolete. So currently for me, it is really, we've gone through this shift, crossing 100 people, where now I'm moving out of I really can't do any kind of individual contributor work. So there's very few projects, if any, that I should or could take on and say, oh, I'll do this. And in fact, my team probably cringes anytime I say, oh, I'll take care of that and I'll get that document done or something. So really having to move more to a level of strategic team building, delegation, and recognizing how I fit in within that. So I've actually gotten a lot more coaching help these days in terms of leveling myself up there.
That's amazing, man. And what I'm hearing there too is, as the leader, this necessity as you grow and scale to be flexible, to be willing to pivot, to embrace the change, and know that as the leader at the helm, right, that's going to be required of you in order to keep charting into uncharted waters that you guys haven't been to before.
Yeah. I mean, one thing we talk about here is giving away our Legos. Is like, you have this thing that you love playing with and it's fun, but eventually gets to the point where you got to give that away to someone else and let them play with it and grow it and do with it and step back, and so that you can benefit the business more at a different level.
What do you see as being one of the biggest things, whether it's your customers or just this entrepreneurship culture in general? What do you see being one of the biggest things that is so simple that if people let go of or moved beyond, their business would go to that next level?
Biggest things that if they let go of or move beyond, then their business would go to the next level? Yeah.
Or maybe what was it for you that you had to let go of?
No, it's a really good question. I want to give it, due consideration. I think for me, and I do think this applies to a lot, is especially those early stages, is letting go a little bit of maybe micromanagement isn't quite the word, but a combination of sort of clock watching, and like, you want to hold people to account in terms of results, but step back from worrying so much about how they do their job, when they do it, where they do it even. Like some of the best leaders now, we've got more remote teams, more freedom in terms of how you operate. Really, at the end of the day, I do find early managers are much more worried about the how and the where and the what, as opposed to the result and the why. And so the more I was able to move into give people context about what success looks like and where we want to go and how they kind of can fit into that, and then let them go and operate in their own way, the better off we ended up. When I was really worried about, oh, you should do this way, or, leaning over someone's shoulder, helping them write copy for the landing page, that was not helpful. So the more I could sort of step back and give them the context, big picture, this is where we want to go. This is what success looks like. Let's get aligned on that, and then set you free and go deliver what you can.
That's great, man.
That was a lot better.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And you've obviously created something that is a company of size and revenue and customers that most people would define as massively successful. And I'm curious what your vision is for Thinkific, and what is that kind of sunset vision of end all be all, or does it have a finish line or another milestone that you're aiming for?
Right. Yeah, it's funny because I think, when I started out, I would look at this as like, wow, this is big and it's successful. But
right?
In the context of software companies and businesses, we're still tiny. So I feel like we haven't even gotten started. There's just like an infinite game, I haven't read his book yet, Simon Sinek's Infinite Game or whatever, but I think I get the gist of it. The infinite game is just getting started. We got a ton of running to do and a ton of distance to put on this, and a ton of growth. I don't have a specific sunset in mind because we're not really looking at the sun setting. It's more like it's still dawn and we're just totally getting ready to grow and scale this and take it to the next level. I'm super passionate about the mission we're on of taking entrepreneurs and helping them grow their business by getting their passion, their message, their knowledge out to the world. And helping them even start businesses by doing that. So we just want to do a lot more of that and be really helpful and act in service to these entrepreneurs in terms of starting and growing businesses. And that's super exciting. So I have a hard time even imagining what the end game of that all looks like, other than that we just want to continue to serve and do more of that.
If you got a $500 million offer tomorrow, what do you do?
No, thanks.
No, thanks. I
Yeah.
love it, man.
I've had a lot of inbound offers, and it's not. Yeah, we're not looking to do something like that.
Was there anything that was offered to you that got you thinking? Is there a number that you would sell for, or is it really? I know we still have so much more room to grow and ground to cover that an offer of any amount just doesn't get you excited.
Yeah, it's more the latter. An offer of any amount doesn't really get me excited.
That's cool.
I would say though that for me, it's not a number. It's not about a number. It's about the future. So if the right partner came along and said, and we talked and we had a partnership forming, and it was like, I think the combination of our companies can take the mission and take it to a whole new level and really do more to achieve value for the customer and the vision that you have. And it was like a combining of exceptional organizations, that might work for us, right? And even if they were much bigger and it really was an acquisition, then maybe something like that would work. But what I would need to know is that for my team, for our customers, for our culture, was going to be an improvement, not about what's a number for me. That's not something I don't have any need there to do something that way.
So maybe a strategic partner that really helps you expand the platform, the mission, the message. But money is obviously not what drives you. I'm curious, as you have built this brand and this company, and you've invested in yourself and your employees, in the business, what does investing and building wealth for you look like outside of work? And is it even important to you, or what is your kind of your money philosophy?
Yeah. So money, I think it is, it's hard. It's not like, it's not what drives me, but I don't ignore it. It's not like it's not something that is important. I've got a wife, a mortgage, 2 kids.
You got bills to pay, right?
Yeah. So, and I like to have fun. And I think the other thing that money has done for me is create more freedom to put more time into my passions, which is my home and family life and my team and culture and work life and our clients and our mission, our vision here. So if I can have someone come by and clean our house once a week, that creates more time for me to either go on a date with my wife or come to work and get some work done or spend with my kids. So in that context, it's super important. So I'm at a point where I'm figuring out, what do I need there to take care of the things that I shouldn't be spending my time doing, so I can really focus on just the things where I want to spend my time. I did a finance degree in undergrad, and then I practiced as a corporate securities and capital markets lawyer. So doing IPOs and raising large rounds for publicly traded companies, doing mergers and acquisitions. So I have a fair amount of experience in the space, but I've rarely been able to beat the market with my own investing. And I've really put all my eggs in one basket, which is Thinkific. And so it's done exceptionally well. But when my wife met me, I still had student loan debt and no income whatsoever. I just, a couple years into starting Thinkific. And so I was the lottery ticket. Now it's paid off and it's done exceptionally well for us, but she's always been the conservative type. So I call her our family CFO. So I give her the money, and then she takes care of investing in it in a conservative way so that I can continue to bet really big on Thinkific's growth.
That's awesome, man. So she kind of hedges the risks that you're out there taking, and that good balance. And speaking of balance, obviously family, you talk about your kids, you talk about your wife, date nights, making sure that, I hear a lot of people say they are businessmen or women with families instead of family men or women with businesses. I'm curious how you've been able to go about having this hustle and grind and grit and intentionality and consistency that has been obviously required to build what you've built and still keep the family life at home a priority.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it's always been family first, which is even reflected in the culture here. And even the first creation of my course, I looked ahead to the future at how it is to practice as a lawyer in a large firm. And I did that for 3 years and I loved it. But I would look at people 15, 20 years out and say, okay, they're still sometimes going home at 2 or 3 in the morning and their kids and wife are there already asleep when they get home and stuff. And I didn't necessarily wanted to go down that path. And so that was a big impetus even behind creating the course in the first place. And so from a financial decision, probably one of the best things I ever did, was create a course that really, I think most people who have courses, it's not totally passive income. Like it's work to create it and then work to continue to build it. I put a lot of work into creating it and getting it going. But for the last 8 years, it's really been completely passive. So I spend about 20, 30 minutes a month on it, and it really just generates passive revenue for me. And that's what allowed me to leave law and start Thinkific. And in fact, my course funded Thinkific in the early days. So from a financial decision, going and saying, okay, this may not be the thing I do forever, but I'm going to start it and I'm going to get it up and running and get it generating revenue. And that'll give me the freedom to do whatever I want. That was really the big thing. And a lot of that came from that position of, I think, family first, of I do want to create a life where I'm free to kind of go on vacation with my wife and kids whenever I want. I'm able to make it home in time for dinner and be there on the weekends and that kind of stuff. So it was a good motivator. My wife loves to remind me when I'm complaining about how often the kids wake up in the middle of the night, that the best year in my business life was the year my daughter was born, despite the fact that I was barely sleeping through it. So I think there even is like a motivation or get your priorities right thing that happens there around family. And it doesn't have to be family. It's just, it could be you love to travel, but it's whatever that thing is that really you want to be doing on the personal life. I think it's important to have it because it'll help you set your priorities on getting the business stuff straightened out too.
I love it, Greg. Some great insight from a top CEO, whole life millionaire. For those that want to know more about you, your brand, your platform, obviously Thinkific, and all the amazing things that you guys offer, we'll include all of these links and handles and information in the show notes at millionairemindcast.com. But what's the best place for them to go and check something out?
Well, we set them up at thinkific.com/millionaire. So if people want to check that out, then we set some things up to just for your audience to try out Thinkific if they want to play around it and see what it's like to build your own course.
Awesome, man. Well, any social media handles that you're active or participate on, or are you kind of behind the scenes?
Well, everything is at Thinkific. And then myself, I am on Instagram. I'm Gregarious Games.
Gregarious Games.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, I appreciate you, man. You're a class act. You are somebody that I think a lot of business owners, aspiring CEOs, and just people that really want to live life on their terms can follow and go after and model after. And that's what this show is all about. So appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to bring some value to our audience, our listeners today. And as you get kind of towards the end of your life, you're looking in the rearview mirror, and you're kind of getting ready to lay the head down. What do you need to see in that rear view mirror in order for you to say it was a successful ride?
Yeah. I read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight recently, and he said, I think 2 things at the end of the book that really woke me up a bit is, one, that he wished he could do it all over again, the whole journey, the whole entrepreneurship journey, but at the same time, he regretted not spending more time with his kids. And so I want to have the first, but not the second of those. I want to, look back and say, I wish I could do it all over again with my wife and kids, and it was amazing, but I really showed up as a father and a husband. And I want to say that I love the whole entrepreneurial journey and really never stopped being on that. And would love to do it all over again. And the big thing too there, I guess, of making an impact in thousands or millions of other people's lives, be it the employee side or the customer side.
I'd say you're well on your way, brother. Appreciate your time today. Greg Smith.
Thank you.